first just introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
My name's Ben Austin, and this is Bran Saint Rand, Brandon Davidson. We run a company called Loose Ends here in Charleston, curating unique experiences around house music.
Yeah, as you said, Brandon Davidson, DJs Ben Austin, a collaborator with Ben on the project he mentioned, and really our goal is to help push the house music scene in Charleston forward, one event at a time.
Cool. How long have you guys been doing the Loose Ends events?
We launched with the opening party for High Tide Music Festival in 2023, and then we had a few months thereafter to kind of look at the Charleston market and see what would fit for like a smaller grassroots community-based event series to where we could grow, a little bit more organically and kind of like push the scene into something that's like educational and maybe a little bit of awareness for people that aren't familiar with house music.
For sure.
So doing a little bit of education on that side, finding what would work and what wouldn't.
Okay. So first question I have is, if I were to shadow you guys for an event, what would be the first thing you would show me and why?
Sure. If we were on site, we would obviously show you kind of like our idea of flow through the evening. So why we chose to set up, say the entrance here, the DJ booth here, vendors here, or whatever, to kind of show you how we design the event to flow organically, or lead people in the right direction, or just make it feel more comfortable for everyone. After like kind of showing you the vision, I think from there, obviously introducing you to the team and getting you familiar with who's doing what and why it works so well, because our team's great.
Could you walk me through the process of booking a headlining DJ from like the first inquiry to confirming?
Yeah, so I guess it starts with a conversation between the team. It's just like what aligns with the vibe that we want to portray for that specific event, or what aligns with the demographic that we're targeting for that event, but also the sound that we love and where we would align, I guess, in terms of like creative direction for us. And then from there, we'd find an artist, talk to a booking agent, and find out, what their going rate is, and if we can kind of afford that for the budget for that event, and then having them reach out, seeing if they're available. From there, if they are available and we want to try to book them, we offer like a clear, concise offer. Usually that comes with a contract that artist has previously used with their rider and everything, and from there there's kind of a back and forth of negotiations, finding what aligns and how we can accommodate, whether it's housing or transportation or whatever. Okay. Just finding out how we can accommodate them the best way, and then from there it's just signing the contract and getting them here.
Does that budget usually come from like a projected ticket sale?
Yes. Yeah. Typically, it's like all expenses. That's like it comes out of all of our expenses, so lighting, production, opening artists or venue fees, marketing, all the above, what we think that we can kind of approach with that budget.
Yeah, we'll often have to put together a projection of what the upside is for an event in terms of revenue, and then look at what our anticipated costs will be to try and ensure that any event's going to be profitable. And so there's a lot of work on the front end that goes into trying to figure out, is an artist's booking fee worth what we project the demand for their show is going to be? Yeah. So it can be a little difficult in a market like Charleston, as it's continuing to emerge and grow, to try and find that right fit of an artist that has a fee that is within range of what we project that the demand will be. So that's been part of the learning process as the scenes continue to grow. Is as the demand grows, that's going to help support the ability to bring in bigger and bigger artists.
In the beginning, like, did you guys have do you feel like you have a little bit more of a gauge now of like what the turnout's going to be for certain things, that you've gotten more of a feel for the demographic in the city? Yeah,
absolutely. I think one, we have kind of like a consistent turnout, the same people, you know, a very like dedicated community for our shows. But then there's also a ton of people that are still involved in our shows, coming out here and there, you know, every other event, and you know, it's good to see those people, but we're still like educating folks on what we do and trying to grab those other demographics and, you know, show them a new experience that, you know, Charleston's not offering otherwise.
I think it's a mix of every time we do an event, we have a lot of repeat attendees, people that have now become part of the community, and are regular supporters that, you know, are always some of the first ones to purchase a ticket for an event. But you also get a lot of people who either come with a friend for the first time, who have not been to an event before. Maybe they've never even been to a house music event, or maybe they don't understand even what house music is in comparison to other genres that they have been exposed to. So it's always fun to kind of hear that, and, you know, each time we are able to usually have more people that say we can't wait for the next one, whether it's their first one or they've been to, you know, events in the double digits that we've been a part of.
For sure, yeah. Could you tell me about one of the most memorable or challenging experiences you've had organizing one of your events?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every event carries its unique set of challenges. From, you know, sometimes you have events where they have such a high demand right out of the gate, and, you know, we've had tickets sold out before we've even posted on social media, just by going back directly to our direct supporter base.
Wow.
And other times that hasn't been the case, where it could just be the timing, a different weekend. So maybe you put the same exact game plan into announcing an event, and then, you know, the demand isn't as fast. So you know, you have to make adjustments on what your game plan is to market that event. And I think, you know, there's so many things that can come into play. So both from an operations standpoint, you know, organizing, coordinating, working with a venue, you know, for the first time, trying to figure out how you're going to set up, who you're going to be working with, the different collaborators in the process that might have their own needs that you need to be able to support and accommodate, to being, you know, just as you get to the day of an event, for example, a lot of times you think you have everything planned, and then all of a sudden you'll realize that maybe there was something that was overlooked, or that you thought was going to be there, that you have to pivot and try and figure out.
Rarely happens.
You know, those sort of challenges, I would say every event carries its own unique set of challenges. But I think at the end of the day, as organizers, you know, we know that it all comes together somehow, some way. And a lot of times, even if there is a challenge that we've had to overcome to get to that point, you know, rarely are people going to see it once they show up to attend the event, because you figure it out, you find a way. And typically people just are appreciative of the vibe you've created. So I don't know if there's any specifics more that you have top of mind.
What's your favorite loose ends moment?
Favorite loose ends moment? I would say my favorite moment is actually getting up there and playing a set. Because you've gone through all the hard work to get to that point, to plan, curate, set up the event, and everything that all the hard work that's behind the scenes that most people don't see. And the reward is really being able to get up there and just play the music you want to play. I think a lot of the reason that, like, we kind of came together on this vision and others that we have is there weren't really many places where we could just show up and play the music we wanted to play in Charleston. And so
if you build it, they will come.
That's exactly what it's been. And so that's been I would say not a specific favorite moment, but a collection of moments is getting to that point and feeling that reward for the work that's been put in to up to that point.
Did you guys know each other before you started doing Sends?
Yeah, we did. We met through music.
Were you both just playing around Charleston, or?
We were actually in Charlotte. I was playing a music festival there, and I knew Brandon's brother, had played with him previously, and we had met at an after party and kind of bonded over some Afro house music, and then the rest was history.
Yeah. I was in Charleston already at the time. Ben had been in Charleston and had intentions to move back to Charleston, and so we connected on, our similar goals with, what was missing in Charleston. And so once he made plans to move back here, things started really to come to fruition, where we were able to bring, our like minds together and try and turn ideas and goals into action.
Yeah. I want to say one of my favorite memories from a Loose Ends show, or our journey together, was like the first show we did, first locally sourced show we ever did, was in a vegan restaurant called Neon Tiger, which unfortunately is no longer a thing. But we didn't know what to expect. I think capacity was capacity was 80. And we had a line down the block and around the corner, like from Neon Tiger around the corner from the Daily. So it was like filling up the whole parking lot. And this was our first event. We've really, first event we've done in a series. So seeing that and seeing the support and like the demand and the want and needs for something new and unique, especially around house music, was very humbling and nice to see. But
and I want to add to that. Ben mentioned that was our first locally sourced event. So part of how we got to that in the first place was we realized there's a lot of great local talent around here, and we mentioned earlier it can be difficult to just come out of the gate bringing in large touring artists. And so we said, why not build an event that's focused on local talent? We were hosting it in Neon Tiger, which, as you mentioned, is a vegan restaurant. And so when we were trying to think of a way to kind of brand the event or market it, the idea for locally sourced came about. And so that's really become the most popular, Loose Ends series. And I think that moment Ben mentioned, where we looked at and saw the line out the door, we were like, all right, I think this might work.
It might work.
What was the transition from that into High Tide?
So High Tide actually came first for me. Buddy reached out to me in 2020, said he was starting a music festival. He's like, you want to get on board? And I'm like, of course, and so getting back into the music, following our passion, and getting involved with them started about 2020, and then we've kind of slowly added members to the team and increased operations, and now we're here year 4 with a 2-day festival.
Yeah, awesome. Mine was a little different. I went 3 or so years ago as just an attendee, and I had just recently moved back to Charleston. So that was actually the year before that I went just as an attendee, and had moved back to Charleston from San Francisco not too long before that, and kind of had a manifestation moment where I was like, I want to play this festival one day. Yeah. And then after meeting Ben and kind of getting introduced, he was already involved with the festival, and kind of helped pave the way for some of my introductions and exposure to the team behind the festival. And then the next year, my younger brother was actually booked to play the main stage. He goes by Discal out of Charlotte, and he was playing the main stage, so I got to go along with him, as just a part of his crew, and see it from that perspective. And then the next year, I ended up being one of the artists that got to play the festival, and ended up getting my own chance to play main stage along with Ben as well.
Very cool. That's what's up. So, final question. What advice would you give to someone who's brand new to the space, like wanting to do what you do?
I think, first I think just being authentic in what you want to portray or give to the community. It's like what's your identity? What is something that you're extremely passionate about, whether it be like the intention behind the lights or the intention behind the flow of the evening, or your sound specifically, or the genre that you want to play throughout the entire night, whatever it may be, or your marketing's different. I think it's just finding some way to be yourself in a community that's growing now, and being unique is kind of unique and genuine is kind of the best way to do it, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. I would say get involved, reach out, and go support events early on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times we get messages all the time from, say, DJs, for example, whether they're local or from out of town, who are like, hey, can you put me on an event?
Yeah.
We don't have any connection, never met them, and they may be an amazing DJ or great talent, producer, whatever. I think that at least for us, the people that have been our best collaborators are the ones that came to support our events early on. They networked, they got to know people, became part of the community, and asked how they could get involved, how they could help, or just had curiosity of their own, and looked for information, and put in the work to better understand what it was that could help them reach their goals, whether it was just to find their way to be able to participate in events and be a part of it, or whether they were looking to maybe learn how to curate their own events. I think a big part of it is, the community that we have is amazing, and overall very supportive. Vibes are always very great and high across the board. I think most people are willing to help and collaborate, but you have to approach it with what can I offer mentality, not just what can I get mentality.
Absolutely.
And usually that will return the most benefit for you in the long run. So
I feel like most people, that's great advice, because I feel like most people don't really know how to bridge that gap between like, how do I get involved in this space without just like open fire, like cold calling and asking like put me on the lineup,
Sure.
Yeah.
Building the relationships first.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think in any industry, I think relationships are the key to success. So building those relationships out, making sure that you have trust between one another, and finding like-minded people is kind of the way to do it.
Absolutely.
But, we've been fortunate enough to have a very supportive community here in Charleston.
Well, if you guys have any closing comments for sure about loose ends or high tide.
Well, I think just we appreciate everyone for the continued support, and if there's anything we can do to help other groups or people with what we do, please reach out. It's first and foremost, we love Charleston, and we're here to help anybody and everyone, if that means just curating an event to let some steam off or find some therapy in what we do. We're here for it, and any other ways we're open to helping. So
absolutely. Yeah, we love the overall community as a whole, and the direction that it's going. I think we've come a long way in a short number of years, and so the last thing I would say is everyone's welcome. We love everyone. It's a very inclusive community, so we invite those who have been a part of it back out. We invite those that have never been a part of it, who want to experience it, to come join us at a future event. If you want to be more involved or follow what we do, certainly High Tide coming up is a great opportunity to see an amazing local boutique festival that's really doing great things. We encourage you to come out. Be sure to follow Loose Ends for announcements on events that are coming up that we'll be doing locally. And then I also have a page called Holy City House Music that helps try to promote pretty much anything house music related in the Charleston scene. So be sure to follow along, and we'd love to have you out at a future event.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, thank you.